Well, guys, it's December, so I decided to skip ahead and do my top 10 best Christmas movies of all time. To qualify for the list, the movie couldn't just use Christmas as a backdrop, but it had to use Christmas themes throughout the movie. I also made a rule that it had to be longer than 45 minutes to qualify, so unfortunately a lot of the animated shorts like How the Grinch Stole Christmas or the Charlie Brown Christmas special could not make it on the list. So, kicking off the list at number 10, we've got Christmas Vacation. Similar to the original Vacation, Clark Griswold struggles to create a perfect environment for his family, this time during the Christmas season. It's one of the funniest Christmas movies ever made because of the exaggerated yet relatable situations and family members introduced, with Cousin Eddie being a particular standout. In this new original take on the bearer of gifts from the North Pole, Santa Claus is accidentally killed by a father played by Tim Allen, who then must take up the mantle of Santa Claus himself. It's a good family movie about being a father and being there for your children, and it's become a Christmas classic throughout the years. Santa Claus is Coming to Town is a stop-motion animation that tells Kris Kringle's origin. It's got songs that have now become classics, and despite its age, will still entertain kids today. Normally, Christmas movie sequels are stinkers, but not Home Alone 2. This time, Kevin McAllister is stuck alone in New York, and even though he's not home, he does find a house to use to defeat the same crooks who broke into his house in the first film. It's equally as touching and funny as the first, making it a worthwhile watch every Christmas season. A true Christmas classic about a song and dance duo who travel to Vermont with a pair of sisters who are also a song and dance duo. While there, they discover their old Army commanding officer owns the ski lodge they're staying in, and because there's no snow, is on the verge of bankruptcy this year. Because of this, they decide to perform at the inn in a last-ditch effort to save him from going into bankruptcy. During all this, they form romantic bonds with the sisters. It's a very fun movie with great dance numbers. When 8-year-old Kevin McAllister is left home alone one Christmas, he is forced to defend his house from burglars trying to break in. It's a funny movie all throughout, but the last act has especially become iconic due to Kevin's ingenious booby traps used against the burglars. It's not all just slapstick humor though. Like all good Christmas movies, it's got heart at the center of it all. Rudolph. Probably the most campy movie on this list. It's a great fantasy movie with absolutely ridiculous characters and situations. It's hilarious, with not even trying to be, but also contains a solid original story within. On top of all this, it probably has the best love story in any Christmas movie ever. Elf became an instant classic and is probably the funniest Christmas comedy ever made, thanks mostly to Will Ferrell's performance as a giant adopted elf. Jon Favreau did such a great job creating an original look on the North Pole and the world for these characters to inhabit and interact with. Every year I look forward to watching this at least once during the 24-hour showing. It's the most realistic Christmas movie I've ever seen and truly embodies what being a kid at Christmas feels like. A lot of this is due to the narration that tells the audience what's going on inside the head of the main character, Ralphie, who is so easier to relate to when recalling memories from Christmases from childhood. It has excellent direction, acting, and writing, and it is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a Wonderful Life is also one of my favorite movies of all time. I would actually put it in my top 5. It's an enduring classic over 70 years old, and yet still remains to be staple viewing every Christmas for many families. It doesn't dazzle with comedy or colorful depictions of the North Pole. It presents a timeless story about a man who faces many hardships and wishes he was never born. He is then shown what the world would look like had his wish come true. It's become an iconic story due to the many times it's been parodied or duplicated in other media. I don't see this movie ever getting too old for an audience to not be able to connect with it, which is saying a lot really, because audiences today seem to really steer away from black and white movies. As always, Jimmy Stewart pulls off a stellar acting job with a grand supporting cast behind him. This is not only one of the best movies ever made, but also one of the most important. It's inspiring and heartwarming, and I think it is the greatest Christmas movie of all time. Well guys, thanks for watching. Please let me know in the comments what you think of my list, and tell me what you think are the best Christmas movies ever made. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you for my next review.